Good afternoon and welcome back to my channel, Aunty Avon, and part 3 of my Finding 50 series, my narcissistic relationship. This is episode 3. I have not put anything up now for 3 weeks and I have to apologise. Literally my kind of life turned upside down 3 weeks ago, and I put my house on the market as well, and then I've sold it just recently, and literally I've had quite a few other things going on. It's just not been a very easy time. I will go into that at some point, but not yet. It's still quite raw. However, today is a good day, so I thought, right, I'm going to film now whilst I'm in a fairly good mood and I feel quite upbeat, because the last thing you want is to see me like sobbing into my notebook, or maybe you do, I don't know, but it's not very nice. You don't want to be turning on YouTube and you're faced with all these tears. And when I'm in that sort of mood, when I have my low days, I think I've explained before that I kind of like to honour those days now. So rather than try and sort everything out and try and battle on through, I don't. I just allow myself to have that day. If it's down and completely non-productive and almost, I wouldn't say destructive, I'm just quiet. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to watch anything. I don't want to listen to any music. I just need quiet. And I like to write, so that's probably when I do not my best writing, but pretty good writing, I think, because I feel very emotional and it's quite raw. So anyway, so the last few weeks haven't been very good, to say the least, but today is good, so let's go with that. I've got my positive pants on, so let's run with it, because later I might be crying into a bucket of chicken or something, I don't know, maybe. I do have my girlfriends coming around tonight, so I'm really looking forward to that, and this is Saturday when I'm recording this. You will be seeing this on Monday, with any luck. Depends how quick I can edit this, I suppose. So that is kind of my reasons for not having put anything up. Okay, so let's get straight into this. Let's not waffle about irrelevant stuff right now. So in the last video, I think I got up to 1993. I talked about my panic attacks that were starting to come out due to the situation that I was stuck in with my, ex-husband. We were then, boyfriend, girlfriend then. He had finished university and was looking for a job. I was still in my job, but I was finding it quite stressful. So with him and with my job, it wasn't the best of times, but you plod on, don't you? You keep going. I'd kind of managed to save enough money and I was going to buy myself a car. So this was like towards the end of 93. So at the beginning of 94, I managed to pick up this little beauty that should be in the screen, maybe here. My XR3i, my pride and joy. Loved it. So I was quite pleased, I'd done well, my job was paying well, and it was a nice little treat for myself. And I think you should treat yourself if you're working, working hard, then why not? So pretty much 94 was quite a good year. So in 95, we decided to go to Tenerife. I was really excited to go back there because I'd had such a good time with the girlfriends in 1991. So I thought, yeah, this will be great. We went and it was actually a really, really good holiday. We stayed in like a little studio apartment, but it's really funny because I can't actually remember where we stayed. I think it might have been somewhere in Las Americas, maybe, but I'm not sure. I remember we went out to this place called the Piano Bar, and I somehow think it might have been Lottie had this, which I'm pretty sure I've got a real strong memory of it, but all my photos are up in the loft, so I really need to go up there and get them down, because obviously I will be getting them down soon because we are moving. That's going to be a task in itself. I'm not looking forward to that. However, I think things had settled down. He seemed happy, he liked his job, and you know, we were getting quite a bit of money together, and it was nice. So we decided 1995 was the year we would finally buy a house. Of course, you know, I was chomping at the bit, because you do, don't you? You want that, because that's the next stage of your life. As you know, if you're with somebody, that's kind of the next progression. So we found a really nice place. It was a 1970s, I believe. I'm sure it was 60s, 70s. Yeah, I think it was 70s, and it was great. I can even smell how it smelled when I'm talking about it. Isn't that weird? Like how a smell can evoke such emotion. Yeah, it's weird. I can even hear the letterbox as you open the door. It was kind of one of those old-fashioned doors, but typical of the time, I suppose. You know, just a wooden frame with almost like a, is it corrugated? No, it's not, is it? It's like that opaque glass, but it's sort of ridged. It had that in the door frame, and like with the wooden panel across with the letterbox in, and it had a little side window that was similar, sort of made similar. And it had a little hallway, and then the stairs were directly in front of it, and to your left was the lounge diner. It was sort of all open plan. The lounge was quite big, and then it went down to a smaller sort of dining room, almost like an L shape kind of. And then off the dining room was the kitchen, which was a galley kitchen, but was quite big in comparison to a lot of the houses. We just loved it. We fell in love with it straight away, even though it was really old-fashioned. Everywhere was blue. From what I remember, there were blue curtains, blue walls, and pink as well, like horrible pink. Not the trendy pink that you see now, the rose gold and blush pink that are around now. No, this is a hideous pink. But we loved it, and we bought that house for like £63,000. This was just outside Heathrow Airport where we lived, so about 2.5 miles from there. Now we probably wouldn't even be able to buy a blade of grass down there, you know, so how times change. But we loved it. It had an L-shaped garden, and the garage was sort of in the garden, if you see what I mean. They had 3 bedrooms as well, 1 bathroom, and it kind of makes you wonder how you ever manage with just 1 bathroom, like when you upgrade and you have 2 or 3. Yeah, it's quite hard to imagine how you actually managed, but you do. So it was home, you know, 2 big bedrooms, 1 sort of standard box room, but just slightly bigger than the average. So we moved in, and our first couple of nights we put our bed in the dining room. It had that horrible old-fashioned nasty Axminster carpet that was about £200 a square metre, I think. But a hideous pattern, like really, really obnoxious. Like nothing would ever break it. You could drop fag ends on it, burning, you could burn it and it would just survive. It was that sort of carpet. I could just see it so clearly. But like I said, we loved it. So our first few nights we spent in the dining room. We had our fridge in the dining room, and we also had the bed in there as well. I don't know why we slept downstairs actually. I think because it was quite late when we moved in, so we just kind of chucked our stuff there, and we thought we would do it a few days later. And we just like enjoyed those first few nights. We played PlayStation, and we had pizza that we sat on the floor and ate out of boxes, and it was like a really happy time. Probably one of 2 or 3 happy times I think that we've had together, and you know, those memories are nice. They're nice to keep. They don't make me sad. They make me laugh, because when, you know, when you think what you have like later in life, and when you look back to where you start from, I mean, people these days, they have no idea, because everything's the same, isn't it now? Everything's grey and white and beautiful and new build, and everything's perfect. But new builds were sort of only just starting then, and they are nowhere near as gorgeous as the ones you get now. My God. So I think they're quite lucky these days. But anyway, so after like 6 years being together, it was really nice to actually have something together, like properly. Kind of formed a firm foundation, if you like. So we'd moved in the September, and Christmas was fast looming. I went out, I bought a Christmas tree, I got all the bits. So I bought a Christmas tree, I bought all the decorations, and then the week before Christmas I had gone out and I'd bought presents, you know, things. I'd even bought a little couple of table presents, because that's what my mum does at Christmas, so I kind of did that as well. And then I decorated the tree, I did all the table. I remember I made a lot of effort, and that week as well I bought all the food. So I'd done all that by myself, but I was really happy to do it, and I was so excited. Even though I was working full-time, he was working full-time, I still managed to find time, even if it was just at the weekends. And it was exciting. I'd spent like a long time, probably most of December, making the house look and feel like a home. And you know, it was starting to look nice. We'd not decorated, we couldn't afford like to change carpets and stuff, because literally we'd only just been there 3 months. So we made the best of what we had. We even had a rickety old sofa that the couple had left for us, which was really sweet because we had nothing. But we'd kind of intended to buy something maybe the following year. We just wanted to get Christmas out of the way. So the big day arrives, and I'm like a 5-year-old jumping up and down, like all excited. I've got my Christmas music on, and you know, I'm opening the traditional Bucks Fizz, starting on that. Maybe not like that, in a glass. I've got, like I said, my Christmas mix on in the background, and I'm singing my head off, and I'm preparing all the veg and doing everything like I'm used to at my parents' home. So you kind of follow those traditions, don't you? So okay, so I prepped all the dinner myself whilst he sat in front of the TV. I wasn't bothered. Like I said, I was in my element. I was really enjoying the day. So I laid the table out, and I gazed lovingly at the twinkling lights everywhere. I was happy. I made a starter of prawn cocktail, because again, that's traditional in my parents' house, so that is what we were doing. We both like prawn cocktail anyway. Very simple. And we sat at the table, glass of wine, and we opened some crackers. He ate some of it and left quite a bit. Again, I wasn't really that bothered. He said he was full, so I was thinking, right, okay, well, we've got a whole dinner to get through yet. So anyway, I took all the plates off. I cleared those up again whilst he sat and watched TV. Again, I wasn't really fussed because I was enjoying myself. Another glass of Bucks Fizz kind of made me not see things, I think, perhaps. Literally. So then I brought out the turkey dinner that I had so lovingly bought and cooked all morning. We ate, laughed, drank, and he left some, again saying he was full. He then said he was tired and sat on the sofa. I remember saying, well, shall we open some presents and then perhaps have our pudding? He said he wanted to have a sleep. So he settled into the sofa, and I do mean into the sofa, because he had like this habit of putting his head between the cushions and then putting his feet up on the table, the coffee table, and then he just shut his eyes. Now, at this point I was like, okay, now I'm starting to feel a bit annoyed and a bit upset, because I thought, it's just me and him here, we've got to make the most of this. It's our first Christmas in our new home together. And I've done all of this prep, all of the cooking. I wrapped the presents. You know, I've done everything. And here you are, asleep now. You've not done anything today. You've sat and watched TV. How are you sleepy? Right at that minute, I do remember thinking, why don't I just get my coat and drive round to my mum's? You know, I've only had a couple of glasses of Bucks Fizz. Maybe I can just go home now, back to my parents, because I could just see the scene. Almost like when Scrooge gets taken out and he goes off and he looks into Christmas past or present and he can see the people enjoying themselves. That's kind of how I was imagining my parents' Christmas with my sister to be. And I thought, I could have done that. And I wish now, looking back, I really wish that I had done that. But I think if I'd done that, it would have caused so many problems. He would have gone nuts, like literally, which isn't fair. But so whilst he slept, I cleaned up. I felt alone and very sad. I should be excited and it should be fun, but it really wasn't. He finally woke up, so I said, we'll open presents soon, but shall we have pudding first? He said, no, I don't want it. So I got my Christmas pudding out. You know, this is supposed to be like tradition. It was our first Christmas together. I wanted it to be really special, and it just wasn't. That makes me feel quite sad. And I got the pudding. I sat at the table eating my pudding alone whilst he watched TV. I was really sad and I could just feel the tears coming. I tried to stop it, but I couldn't. I felt really miserable right at that moment. I didn't make any noise, I just could feel the tears like rolling down my cheek. And he looked over at me, and instead of being comforting or saying, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you, anything like that, he literally rolled his eyes at me and spat. Tears, yeah. That's it, turn on the waterworks. I don't want any pudding. Of course, it wasn't about the pudding. That's not why I cried. I said tearfully, I've shopped for presents, food and Christmas stuff. I've been trying to make our first year in our first home together really lovely. I've prepped, cooked and served you. I've cleared it all up with no offer to help whilst you slept. It's supposed to be special. He told me to fuck off and he left. I think he went for a walk. Yeah, it's kind of weird just remembering that now, like talking about it, because when I was writing it, I'd forgotten about the feelings and the emotions. Obviously I remembered what had happened because it's quite a big significant event, but I didn't sort of have the same feelings. But now it's almost like I'm seeing it played out in front of me as I'm reading it to you. So yeah, it was not a very nice time. As he left the house slamming the door, I screamed and I picked up the bowl and I threw it at the wall because I do have a bit of a temper, and when I get frustrated I think my little mini Hulk comes out and she just goes crazy and she throws things, she slams doors, she gets quite destructive. But I do think I had every right to be that day. The bowl smashed, it sent the pudding and brandy cream cascading down the wall like Niagara Falls. But guess who had to clear that up? He eventually came back and we made up and opened presents, etc. It wasn't the best start, but we had kind of partly committed to something now. We had a mortgage, house to take care of and responsibilities for that. 1996. Both our jobs, well paid. You know, most couples would be over the moon. I wanted to save to buy stuff. We ended up with credit cards. He wanted nice things, big holidays, expensive hi-fis and tech stuff. But slowly, over time, we could have saved and managed it bit by bit. But no, he wanted it immediately, so we had to get it. Back then we had direct debits, and I think then at the time they used to charge like £30 if you missed one, which was incredibly extortionate considering some might have only been £12. But we were starting to sort of notice that even though we both had good money and well-paid jobs, because he wanted all the expensive stuff, I started to go out buying clothes and stuff like that to keep up, I think, appearances at work. And also I think because I was unhappy, so I would spend £2 here, £5 there on clothes from charity shops. I just went suddenly mental for charity shops and boot sales at the time because they were just huge at the time. So I used to spend my money on that, and he would spend his money on expensive tech stuff. So I guess I was using charity shops as a form of escape. I wasn't happy at home. We had overdrafts now, debts, and now a loan to pay back. It really is easy to just fall into that trap, and so bloody hard to get out of it. That Christmas we decided to spend it with his mum and dad and sister and her partner. And actually it was a really, really good Christmas. We had such a laugh, and I think his mum and dad were like completely oblivious to half the stuff that we were all saying. We played some games, and I just remember it was just really, really funny. And yeah, that was a really good Christmas actually. Didn't feel alone. There were no dramas. It was just a really good day, which is what it should be. So 1997 arrives. Well, it was good, and I suddenly got an opportunity to move within the department. Now this was a much better paid job, and it kind of had a bit more status with it. So I decided to go for the interview, and I got it, and I was really proud of myself because I did work hard to get it. I had 3 people interviewing me. I had to maintain eye contact with all of them. I thought I behaved in a very professional manner, and so did they, because they gave me such good feedback. And I got the job and started like the next week, so that was great. It was more money, so you know, and we were kind of sort of trying to save and trying to clear some of the debts that we'd accrued. And his job was pretty good, so we were, you know, we were getting there. We were trying to get really straight. But his dad at this time wasn't very well. And then in June of 97, unfortunately he passed away. It was a very trying time, you know, for all of us. Obviously, you know, we were all trying to pitch in and help his mum. He'd been ill like for about 6 months, so it wasn't long, you know, it wasn't that long to get used to it. Now he didn't really get on very well with his dad, and when it happened he sort of dealt with it, and he was very, very strong, you know, and I kind of admired him at that point. And you know, I sort of had a lot of respect for him because he looked after his mum, he looked after all the business affairs that goes, you know, with a death in the family and stuff. So he took care of that, and he took care of his sister as well, and he was trying to look after stuff. So my estimation of him went up, and I thought, yeah, you know, he's got potential now. He's kind of grown up all of a sudden. So the next month in July, I started to feel a little bit off. I don't know, I just wasn't feeling right. And I just wasn't able to concentrate, and things were just sort of, I don't know, you know when you just know something's not quite right? Didn't really know what. I thought it was all the stress of, you know, what had happened, and sort of trying to deal with Pete's feelings, I suppose. But although he wasn't too bad, he was pretty strong, I think, at that month. He was good. And like with both of our jobs, like I said, paying good money, we were kind of in a good position. So I was coming down the stairs one morning, and I had a basket full of washing. And as I came down the stairs, I think I was on like the 4th or 5th step, and I just slipped. My foot went from under me, and I slammed hard down on my fat bum, like, and it literally just jarred my whole head and everything, and it scared me, and I sort of screamed out because it, you know, it literally did frighten me, and I just thought, what's wrong with me? What the hell's going on? Anyway, the next day I did a pregnancy test and it was positive. So that probably explained why I was a bit off colour and a bit all over the place. I had noticed that my period was late, but you know, it wasn't abnormal for it to be late, so I didn't really put two and two together. Pete was delighted, but we were stuck kind of in a position where, do we tell his mum, because obviously she just lost his dad and there was such a lot of emotion at that time. But he said we just need to tell her, and maybe it'll give her something to focus on and something to look forward to. So that was really good, and we told her, and she was really, really pleased, really happy, and then she was like crying because of everything else. So yeah, I think it was the right decision to tell her, although it was quite difficult. Then his sister fell pregnant as well, like 2 months later. So it was quite nice because we were like, oh my God, we're going to be pregnant together, and we worked together and blah, 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 blah. So we started to do the house up. We just thought we got to get a bit of a move on. So we did up the lounge just with wallpaper and new curtains, but we couldn't afford a new carpet because it was quite a big space. So we left the carpet for the time being, but we had just put different like wallpaper, so we didn't have pink and blue walls anymore. We had like this, it was kind of a beigey gold background, and it had very thin sort of blue vertical stripes, and we had a border that went up, that fleur-de-lis pattern, I think, from what I can remember. Yeah, and that we had that border going across the middle all the way around. It was quite a big room, so yeah, it was it looked better. I painted the doors, that sort of thing, and it was just a shame we couldn't afford a new carpet as well, but never mind. So I felt really happy for the first time in a long while, actually, and I was so excited to be a mum. You know, going to appointments and going to antenatal classes and stuff like that. It was just great fun. So as we were doing the house up, I said to him, I said, you know, can we do the box room up and we could make that a nursery? So as the months went on, he wouldn't let me change it. He said it's fine as it is. So it was just, I think it was just a, was it cream? I think it was like a magnolia colour, I think, from what I can remember now. No, it wasn't actually. It was a dark navy wallpaper, and it did have the fleur-de-lis, like just the little symbols on it everywhere. So it was quite nice, and everywhere else was white, and I think we had a cream carpet in there, so at least we'd partially done it. But I wanted to change it, and I wanted to sort of rip the paper off and make it all just like neutral. He wouldn't let me. He said, you can buy some new curtains. So I was like, well, why won't you let me do it? And he's like, because we only did it like a few months ago, so I'm not changing it. And I remember him saying, if you want to do it, you do it, but you do it on your own. I was 7 months pregnant, so of course, what was I going to do? I did buy new curtains, so I got sort of some cream lace curtains, and we bought like Winnie the Pooh stickers and a little tall boy wardrobe. So we put the Winnie the Pooh stickers out, what I did, and we bought a cot, etc, etc, and that was all I was allowed to change. That was it, nothing else. So on March the 15th 1998, very early in the morning, I woke up. I'd been having Braxton Hicks pain probably most of the week. My parents had decided to go to the caravan that they have to open it all up, get it ready like for the new season, but they'd chosen to go that weekend. And I remember saying to my mum, but what if I have the baby? And she's like, oh, that's fine, we'll be back. Anyway, I started to have more intense feelings, and I woke him up and I went, I think this is it. So I'd gone to the toilet, and suddenly I heard this like pop sound, and that was my waters breaking. After that, it pretty much got quite intense quite quickly. So we went to the hospital, and at 13:52 on Sunday, March the 15th, 1998, Matthew came out into the world. He was supposed to be a water birth baby, but he was so laid back that he didn't come out on time. And I was feeling very, very tired, and I couldn't push anymore properly, so I had to get out of the bath, much to my annoyance, but I was too weak by this point. And he was born by ventouse, so that's where they put like a little suction, like a hoover, I suppose. So yeah, he was born via Dyson. Out he came. And yeah, just this cute little bundle, and it was just amazing. So we had a side room, and I stayed in that, and it was just great to have that time with him and that special moment. So we just brought our baby Matthew home from the hospital, and on the day that I get back from the hospital, Pete had decided to tile the kitchen because, you know, obviously we're doing up the house. Why he chose that very day to start tiling, and I was like, we've just got a new baby, you know, I don't really know what I'm doing, and here you are tiling the kitchen. But anyway, I remember sort of being suddenly panicked, and Matthew was sat in his little car seat just in front of me, and I was looking at him all the time, like waiting for him to do something. And it's like, oh my god, this is really scary. Now we've got this little human that we've now got to take care of. Anyway, you're supposed to support each other as, you know, new parents, and go through that journey together because it's new for both of us. But I think Pete expected me to just know what I was doing because I was a woman, which is really bad of him to expect that. But on the other hand, I get it coming from him. I think he just assumed, you know, you're female, you can just do it, you know what to do. And I kept saying, but you know, they don't come with an instruction manual, I don't automatically know what to do. So anyway, I was, you know, really happy to be a mum, but I was also then at the start of the real Pete, I think, coming out. Okay, so I do have like several incidents written in some diaries, but I don't think I've got those diaries anymore because at the time, like just recently, I think I threw them away because they were just too painful. It was just full of negativity, and I think I just wanted it out of my life. So a lot of it I can still remember, some will be from the notes that I do have. Okay, so the first time Pete's true colours showed up was literally, Matthew was just less than a week old. I was desperate for a bath because, you know, if you've had a baby and you've had stitches down there, you're very, very scared to sort of wash and touch it or anything because it's quite sore, etc, etc. Nice. So I remember thinking, I just want a really nice bath, peace and quiet, and I just want to relax after the last few days. I wanted to kind of like have a look and everything and just sort of check everything was okay as well. And I thought, I just need to chill out and have a nice bath. So I'd said to him, I am going for a bath. And he said, you're taking him with you, yeah? I laughed, thinking he was joking. I'm going for a bath, just let him sleep. No, he may wake up. You want a bath, you take him with you. His tone had changed by this point, and I was like, oh, I couldn't quite believe it. So I did. I took him with me, and I had to have a bath while he was sat in the car seat on the bathroom floor. He didn't wake up like the whole time, he just lay there. But I kept looking at him then, so I was distracted, so I didn't actually have that peace and quiet and tranquility that I think I deserved after labour and everything else. You know, I just think it would have been nice, they could have had that father and son time, and I could have just had me time for a bit. But nevertheless, it wasn't meant to be. So a couple of weeks later, Pete went back to work. I expected him to say, like, as he was leaving, oh, I'm gonna miss you both, and like I wanted him to sort of be kissing and cuddling both of us and kissing Matthew on the head and saying, oh, I'm gonna miss you, little man, or something like that, you know, because he'd been off with us for, I think he'd only been off with us for about 10 days maybe. Yeah, it wasn't long. And that he didn't want to go. But no, he turned to me and said, all right, for you staying at home, I have to go and do real work. I was actually gobsmacked and very hurt, but as a new mum will understand that I didn't really have time to absorb that comment too much and think about it, which is lucky because it didn't really affect my day. I had a baby to look after. Matthew used to wake up every 2 hours, like on the dot. Couldn't get him to sleep through the night for a long time. And because Pete was back at work, he then said to me, every time you get up, you're disturbing me and I've got to get up for work, so you need to take Matt and sleep in the other room. So I literally then had to sleep in the other room, because I said, oh, all right, I'll get up and take him in there. And he went, no. He says, you need to sleep in the other room, like all night, so if you get up, you don't disturb me. And like I think about that now and I think, Jesus Christ. And I sort of, and I think, wow, how horrible, how nasty. Just not, he didn't really care, not at all. So there you go, I slept in the spare room. He never ever got up with Matthew in the night, basically because I breastfed him, so he didn't really need to, and I was quite happy. I did quite like that moment. But he never even put him to bed. I did all the bedtime routine, and that makes me quite sad, because now I see like a lot of people on YouTube and they're such a big family unit and they help each other, and I never ever had that, even with Mark as well, you know. There was just never anything, and yeah, that makes me quite sad, because I can't ever get that back. There's no way I will never experience that again. Maybe when I become a grandmother, maybe whoever I'm with will be by my side and we'll have them overnight and it'll be really lovely and we can, you know, get up together or whatever. So that would be nice, but yeah, I don't resent it. I'm just sad about it. I think there's not much I can do about it now, but it does make me sad. So anyway, I'm not going to lie, those first few months were quite difficult because of the routine. You know, we were just getting used to things. He'd gone back to work. I just virtually felt really isolated all of a sudden. My best friend, who had had a baby the year before, she'd gone back to work. So, and she had a little boy who is exactly like a year and 1 day older than Matthew. So it was such a shame that we didn't have the babies at the same time, because we would have been each other's lifelines. So I got used to having this little bundle of joy in my life and suddenly feeling like a single parent. As the weeks passed, I got the impression that Peter actually resented me for being at home. Just the little things he said and his behaviour. He actually had no idea what my days were like. If you are a new mum, you will understand, or even if you are a mum of a 20 or 30-year-old, I'm sure you have some recollection of that time and how it made you feel. When Pete came home from work, he would say that he wanted or needed his quiet time. So I had to take Matt out. Now, this wasn't always easy, because obviously at first, because Matthew was born in March, obviously we had all the summer months, so it was great. But, you know, you think when it gets to sort of September, October time and the winter or autumn starts kicking in, it's darker early. And also it's kind of that time when you want to be doing, like, having a little bit of time with him and then getting the bedtime routine sorted. So it was a bit of a difficult stage. I mean, not that Matthew was even noisy. He was, you know, such a good little baby, and you know, apart from not sleeping at night, everything else was fine. He was a joy, you know, always smiling, always happy. You know, give him something to eat and he would be absolutely fine. But you know, he didn't really cry. He always had a smile for you. So I feel sorry for Peter, because he's missed out on all of that. He missed that opportunity to, you know, have that time and relish in that niceness of having a little baby. But so I took Matthew out like an utter fool. I would take him for a walk round the block. Obviously, you know, like I said, the weather was good at first, so it wasn't too bad. Matthew continued to wake every 2 hours, not even for a feed now. I think he was just wanting to be up, and he was just kind of alert. I mean, he's very similar now. He doesn't wake up middle of the night, but he doesn't go to sleep till really, really late. Even when he's got work and stuff, so he's never really changed. I was starting to feel totally drained now. I was struggling. I was like really tired during the day, and like the morning routine I found quite hard because I didn't feel like I'd had much sleep, probably 2 hours, maybe 3 at a push. And then my alarm would go off, and then Pete would be going to work, and then like the whole day would start. So the health visitor had come round just to sort of do her like final check, I think it was. And I remember her saying to me, I don't even know if it was the final check, I can't remember now, but she'd come round, I do remember that. And I kind of pounced on her. You know, when you haven't seen an adult, apart from your idiot of a husband, you've not seen anybody else, you kind of latch onto the first adult that you see, and she was like the first proper adult, and she was in my house, so I kind of latched onto her, and I just remember telling her how I was feeling. So she suggested putting my dressing gown in the cot with Matthew, because he would smell my scent, so it might make him feel a bit more comfortable, and it would perhaps stop him from waking up so often, because if he's not actually hungry, he's waking up because he wants you, he just wants that comfort. So she said, if you put your dressing gown in there with him and he smells it, he's more than likely to keep calm, like you're still around. So I thought, oh, well, what have I got to lose? Anyway, it was a result. Literally over the next sort of week, he started sleeping 4 hours instead of 2, maybe 5 hours, and it was like, oh my god, this is amazing, just this little trick, you know. And it didn't cost anything, it didn't cause any hassle, it was really welcomed with open arms, let me tell you. It still wasn't good enough for Pete, and I still had to sleep in the spare room, but I think by this time actually I was quite relieved, and I didn't really care by this point. I think I just kept thinking, well, I've got a baby now, so it doesn't really matter what you think. I need to take care of him, and his needs are more important now. So you're an adult, you can look after yourself. And I think that's the attitude I adopted, which I do think helped me get through quite a lot. The next time a health visitor came, I explained to her that I was feeling a bit isolated and lonely. So she suggested I go down to the clinic, to the local baby group. Well, I was horrified. I was like, no. And I had all these feelings and like imaginary scenarios created in my crazy brain, going, no, they'll all be super young, super fit, they'll all know exactly what they're doing, their babies won't cry, and blah blah blah. And I just created all these like reasons not to go. So she just gave me the number, and you know, she said the address, sorry, and it was just at the local clinic where we got the babies weighed, so I knew where it was. On the Friday that I was due to go, I set myself like a little plan. So it started I think at 11:30, and Matthew had gone down for a nap in the morning. So I thought, right, if he is up on time, then I will take him. If he sleeps, I won't. He woke up. So I panicked, but I got his stuff together, and I remember making him some mashed banana, like to take with me as a little snack, and I had like some milk for him. So I packed all that, you know, nappies and everything else, and I kind of went out the door, came back in, went back out, and then I just thought, right, sod it, go. So I got in the car and I drove there. It was only like a 5-minute drive, really, not far at all. Drove there, got into the car park, saw the door, and I was like, oh my god, talked myself out of it. Then, no, go, no, I can't, yes, go in. So I think I talked myself out of it about 1,000 times, but in the end I just thought, just go, just do it for Matthew. You know, you're a mum now, it's not about you. You have to stand up now, you know, step up. The trepidation that I felt, I just can't explain, but I'm sure that a lot of you will understand and think, wow, yeah, I totally get that. It is a really nerve-wracking thing, and you know, you have so many issues about yourself and perhaps your parenting, and you always think everybody else knows exactly what they're going to be doing, and chances are they don't. So anyway, I'm stood here in front of this door. Shall I? No. Yes, no, yes, no. Took a deep breath. I had visions of a crowded room, you know, like I said, all super confident women with perfect babies and figures and everything, you know, absolutely perfect. So I opened the door, and there was a nice receptionist, and she pointed me to another door. You could smell that smell like a doctor's surgery, and even that just like made me go cold with fear. And I was thinking, oh, and Matt was in his car seat, and he was like looking up at me all smiley, and I was like, oh, it's all right for you, you don't have to do this. Crazy. So I thought, right, be brave, come on, just be brave, just open that door. So with visions of like 100 people sat there, all watching every single mum that came in and watching their babies to see, you know, if they cried or if they made any noise. It was like, oh, horror. But I opened the door thinking that I was like going to a police lineup or a public hanging. As I pushed it open, I like braced myself for what my mind had previously created, only to be met with the complete opposite. There were just 3 women in there, all around my age, I thought. 2 were together chatting. They looked up, smiled, said hi, and then there was one on her own on the right hand side. She looked up at me, smiled. Karen? She questioned. I realised it was Betty from the parent group. Her name's not Betty, but I'm going to use that anyway. Betty? I questioned with a huge sigh of relief. Oh my god, I'm so pleased to see you. We hugged and showed off our little bundles of joy with such pride. She had had a girl called Hayley a week after I had Matthew. So we chatted so much, and she was equally relieved and pleased that I was there, and she told me she had had all the same fears as me. See, we do all think so alike at that time. So we had a really, really lovely sort of couple of hours there, and it just went so quick. We even had a cup of tea, and the babies kind of sat facing each other, and they were just like, you know, gurgling and chatting in their own little way. And it was just so nice. I held Hayley, she held Matthew, you know, and we were just sort of like introducing them to each other. So it was a really special moment, and so much better than I could have ever anticipated. If you do feel like that, please make an effort to go to something, because let me tell you, it was a lifeline. So I came home that day with a new sense of happiness that I hadn't felt in months. I'd made a new friend, and my loneliness could possibly vanish. Okay, I'm going to end it there. I do have like part 4, but that will be next week. I hope that you've enjoyed it so far. I know there've not been that many incidents, but I'm trying to sort of I think work up to it, because obviously a lot of years have passed since all this happened. So, and as I said, I don't have all the diaries. Some of it I'm just trying to remember in order as much as I can. Not always easy. But anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed it. And like I said, if you are experiencing any of the loneliness as a new parent, please make sure you reach out to somebody, even if it is a health professional or your doctor, a friend, neighbour, parent, sibling, anybody, and just get that support, because it is vital and it's an absolute lifeline. And it really was for me, as you will see in the next few parts that I film. So I have done like part 4 for next week, but I've also today I've got another video scheduled to be uploaded later, and that is called 15 signs that your partner has checked out of your relationship. If you don't know what that means, it basically means that if you're with somebody and then suddenly you start to notice little things that they are doing differently, or indeed they are not doing anymore, that they have done before, and you just know something in your gut isn't right, but you just can't put your finger on it, chances are they may have already checked out of your relationship, like they've just kind of walked out, but not physically. So they've still got one foot in your relationship, but they're not really as bothered by it as they used to be. You know, you might start noticing maybe they're not giving you compliments anymore, and sex might have dissipated completely. Just the emotional side of things may have gone. So I hope that you find that one interesting. That will be on, I think it's on, what is it now, 1 o'clock? Yeah, so that will be up at 3 today. So please enjoy that one. And let me know what you think in the comments box below. Make sure that you subscribe as well. I know I've already said that, but I'm going to say it again. Subscribe. Right, I will speak to you all later. Until next time, I'm Karen.